President Donald Trump has managed to take something away from his failed meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump recently met with the Russian leader to discuss ending the war in Ukraine, and to everyone's not surprise, he took the Russian side and said, well, maybe you could just give up parts of your country, do a little appeasement, to end this whole thing. And, we're not going to do a ceasefire. While we have discussions, we're just going to let the Russians continue to come after you and invade your country and all that, while we work towards a long-term solution, which would be, which would involve really just you giving up increasingly larger amounts of your country to appease the Russian dictator. So that's what we're doing here. Now, that's not all he agreed with Putin on. In fact, during the meeting, Putin talked about the 2020 election. Trump had spoken to Fox host Sean Hannity on August 15th, saying that Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. Oh, and now Trump is promising to take action to get rid of mail-in ballots, of course. On Monday, he went to Truth Social to write, elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots / voting. And everybody, in particular the Democrats, knows this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. How? I mean, how's he going to do that one? Well, he's not. Okay, for one. But, okay, say he was... actually wanted to do that. Well, he's going to try to do an executive order to try to get rid of mail-in voting. Not only that, but also voting machines. So Mike Pillow over there is suddenly doing a happy dance. Like, oh, he's finally listening to me. He's finally listening to me. He's going to get rid of he's going to get rid of the machines, everybody. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This man is trying to get rid of mail-in voting after using mail-in voting. Okay. In fact, look, members of both parties consistently use mail-in ballots. Out of the 155 million votes cast in 2024, nearly 47 million of them were mailed in. That's right. Now, when you break it down by party, and by the way, not all the states do track mail-in ballots by party, so these numbers not going to be completely accurate, but among those that have reported, about 41% of the ballots were cast by Democrats, while about 38% were cast by Republicans. That's pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. Now, currently more Democrats do use mail-in ballots, but guess what? A lot of Republicans also do. So you can shoot your own party in the foot too, for no reasons. Okay. Now, what's interesting is, look, mail-in ballots have been used for a long time with no problems whatsoever. Now, the number of people that are using mail-in ballots actually increased due to COVID. But even so, 2020, it peaked. But 2024 and 2022, the midterms, you still had a lot of people using mail-in ballots. Now, the reason, of course, is not because of fraud. No, the mail-in voting is just more convenient. It's more convenient, especially if you have a job or three, like a lot of Americans, unfortunately. They just don't have time to go wait in line at the polling place. And so, yeah, mail-in ballots make sense. Or how about, if you've got kids or whatever, it just makes more sense to do mail-in ballots than to drive to a polling place and wait in line, again, which happens more often in cities. Look, I'll be honest, I live in a small town, so I haven't really had to wait all that long to vote. But People in cities, however, well, they end up, in some cases, waiting hours and hours to vote. And let's be honest, too, that generally tends to happen more often in minority communities. You know, a little thing called voter suppression, right? By taking away polling places. So now, that said, you can see the reason why Trump does not like mail-in voting, despite, of course, having literally used it himself. The reality is that voter fraud is extremely rare in elections. In fact, it is more likely for an American to be struck by lightning than to commit mail-in voter fraud. And you're also more likely to be crushed by a vending machine. I see your hand up in there, okay? Than you are to commit in-person voter fraud. So it is extremely unlikely. There is literally no basis to claim, these are fraud everywhere in these mail-in ballots. We're going to get rid of mail-in ballots. No. There's no basis here in this country for it. That said, you want to look at who advised Trump on this. And it was Vladimir Putin, whose own re-election, by the way, there were some questions. There's some questions about election fraud, okay? In fact, according to investigative journalist website Meduza, this is a Russian website, they said that around 22 million ballots officially in favor of Putin may have been falsified. Oh, so Putin might have been, Putin in his own name by stuffing the ballot boxes. Okay. This is according to Russian electoral analyst Ivan Shuksin. Now, there was another investigative news outlet, Important Stories. They gave a similar number. They estimated about 21.9 million false votes were cast for Putin. And the opposition media outlet Novaya Gazeta Europe also came up with an even bigger number. They claimed that about 31.6 million ballots were falsified in Putin's favor. So that figure, they say, corresponds to almost 50% of all votes cast in the president's favor. According to the Central Election Commission, Putin received about 64.7 million votes, said Jeff Hahn, a Russia expert at the London School of Economics. All three estimates suggest that fraud on a scale unprecedented in Russian electoral history was committed, added Matthew Wyman, a specialist in Russian politics at Kiel University in the United Kingdom. Now, these are some pretty wild estimates, right? How did they come up with these numbers? Well, they had used an algorithmic method to estimate the extent of voter fraud, which was developed by a man named Sergei Shpilkin. Now, Shpilkin's work analyzing Russian elections actually won him several prestigious independent awards in Russia, including the Politprosvet Prize for Electoral Research, awarded in 2012 by the Liberal Mission Foundation. So this guy says Putin had been cheating. And now Trump is like, oh, that guy? I'm going to follow his advice because he keeps winning. Understand that that's really what it's about. Now, of course, listening to Putin on anything seems like kind of a disaster for this country. I mean, especially for democracy here. Look, the way that things work with Trump is that generally he tends to accuse the other side of what he plans to do and then does it. How many examples have you seen so far of that happening? All right. Epstein files ever met anybody? Epstein files? But no, now he's going to try to take over voting, okay, to get rid of mail-in ballots and voting machines. Yikes. Now, that said, he can't just do that, right? Well, yeah, the states control that. Now, of course, Trump is claiming that, Well, the states actually don't control it. There's merely an agent for the federal government, which means I could go and take over. Oh boy. Hey, states' rights people, where are you? Because this is going to be the next states' rights showdown. I can guarantee it. Okay. Now, where is the party of states' rights? Are they going to show up to oppose him? No, of course not. Are you kidding me? No. The states' right people, they're going to be absolutely silent on all of this. Why? Because they don't actually believe in states' rights. They're just authoritarians who are in a cult of personality. So I don't expect those people to come and save the day when Trump tries to take over the elections in the states. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.